Let me say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Those of you who are viewing GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20, good morning and welcome to another edition of To The Point. Today being Thursday, the 18th day of April. And you know what happens on a Thursday here on To The Point? We do, of course, entertain various departments within the RGPF. And this morning, we do have the Prosecution Department with us this morning. And our topic of conversation this morning will be summons and warrants. Let me say good morning to the officers and say good morning. You know, there's a saying that ladies first, right? So let me say good morning to Corporal Farray. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, GT, and good morning to our viewers.
And nice to have you. Of course, I know this officer a pretty long time, from boyhood days to where we at now. Let me say good morning to, of course, is it Corporal also?
No.
Constable Boot Celestine. Let me say good morning to both of you and welcome to The Point today. How are you folks doing this morning?
We're good.
All right. Good. Well, I didn't get an intro from Boot this morning, so I hope you don't mind me just go with my first name basis. Just Boot. It's kind of a bit of a norm when you know someone in that particular capacity, although I should say, Constable Boot, but it's kind of a little, it feels a little odd sometimes, but respect due as always. And so welcome once again. Welcome to the, of course, the conversation this morning here on To The Point.
Thank you.
There's always that we talking summons and warrants, and I know for sure there are individuals who are probably listening to the show this morning, and and you speak in a layman terms, and you say, I get a summons, you understand? Let's waiver the definition when someone say, what is a summons? What is a summons first? Let's get that going first. I'm not sure who's going to.
Yes. A summons is a legal document that is signed by a magistrate, a judge, or a justice of a peace, which commands the appearance of the person to whom it's addressed to appear to court at a given time and to answer a particular charge, or just to serve as a witness, or just to assist the court in whatever proceedings that the court may be dealing with.
Right. Where does a warrant come into effect? How does a warrant come? My apology. Where does a summons, I should say, we are on summons for now. Where does a summons come into effect?
A summons come into effect once a complaint is lodged before the court.
All right.
A complaint is normally lodged in the name of the Commissioner of Police. And these complaints come about where a person would have complained for some injustice that they think would have been done to them. So once they make a complaint to the police would investigate, having decided that there is enough evidence to bring forward a charge. The police would do so and lodge that document in the court system. The magistrate now would issue a summons for either the witness or the defendant, or whomever is listed as witness, to appear in court. That is, if the defendant is not bailed already, to appear in court.
All right. Now, the significance, I would ask, of a summons.
It's very important because everybody needs to know. You can't do a matter in the absence of a person. So the summons have information that will inform whomever it is addressed to as to the complaint made against them. So they will have a brief summary as to the allegations, the section of the law that gives the police power to bring forward this charge, and it lets you know the time and place in which you have to attend court. So it gives you notice. It's very important. You do not want to take someone by ambush. The law does they recognize fairness. All
right. Now, you said you mentioned something there that kind of grabbed my fancy a wee bit when you say summons. Is a summons entitled? Is only a defendant that's entitled to a summons?
No. A witness is also entitled to a summons as well, because the summons will address to them, right, directly from the magistrate.
All right. The
summons will be directed to them as well to appear in court. All right. Based on the matter that is before the magistrate.
Why does a witness need a summons? Why would someone say, well, as a witness, why do I need to be summoned, to come to court as a witness?
Okay, let me look at some trivial matters. For instance, if two persons may have an altercation, and some threats may use, obscene language may use, the person may come to the police station and make a complaint, right, that this had happened to them, right? They make a complaint, the matter is lodged in court. For them to be notified of the court date, their names must be placed on the summons, letting them know, listen, you have a court date based on the complaint you have made. You have a date to appear in court based on the summons that you have not the statement that you had given at the station, for them to appear in court. So it must be important for them to get the summons so they'll know of the date to appear.
All right. Now let's move up a wee bit, because we're dealing with both summons and of course warrants. If I was to ask a question, what is a warrant?
A warrant.
Is it totally different to a summons now?
It is different.
It
There
is
is a difference. A warrant, also like a summons, is a legal document that also is signed by a judge, justice of the peace, RGP, that directs a police officer or a gaoler, the gaoler will be the commissioner of prison, to execute that which is specified on the warrant, on the person to whom the warrant would be addressed to.
All right. So that's what it is.
Yes.
Now, if you could make a comparison for me in terms of the summons and warrant, let's make a comparison between both.
The summons gives you the opportunity to appear in court for yourself.
Yes.
And warrants, well, the police will bring you to court. But there are different warrants. So if we're speaking of arrest warrants or commitment warrants, judgment debtor warrants, these warrants give the police powers to carry you to the court.
All right.
So you would have had the opportunity by a summons to take yourself to the court.
Okay.
But in failure of doing so, the court will issue a warrant for your arrest and have you brought to court. That's the difference.
So I'm understanding the difference. You get a summons, you're entitled to come to court. You have the choice of coming to court. You fail to come to court now, then a warrant is then issued now.
Yes.
All right.
But as I said, there are different warrants at different purposes. So the information directing a constable to perform a particular task. So based on what that warrant is, it could be a search warrant.
All right.
You see, just let me say one thing. As we on that, bench warrants, right, is very important, because if you have gotten a summons to appear to court, based on the importance of the matter, whether you be a witness or defendant, if you have given a summons to appear in court at a particular date and you didn't appear, the magistrate or the judge, in him or her discretion, can issue a warrant for you, for your arrest, to take you to court. And that warrant give the police the authority to arrest you anywhere. You could be at work, you could be at your wedding, you could be on the beach, you could be heading out on the airport to go to travel. So long the police have that warrant in their possession, they could arrest you and take you to court so that justice can be served. So persons must understand that whenever a summons is being served to them, they must obey the command, because it's directly from the judge or the magistrate for them to appear in court, to avoid the hassle of being a warrant sent to them to take them to court.
All right. Can a warrant be only issued to a defendant, or warrant could also be issued to a witness in some cases of that nature? Yes,
a warrant could be issued to a witness, because there are some witnesses, because based on my field, I usually deal with serving summons and issuing of warrants. For instance, you may go to a person to issue them a summons, and for some reason they might be hostile, or based on where they are, they might not want to come and take the summons for you, and it is preventing service.
All right.
So we know, as person responsible for that, we can bring back that information to the court and inform the prosecutor first, and then the prosecutor will inform the magistrate as to the reason why the person avoiding service, and the magistrate in his or her discretion can issue a warrant for that witness to appear in court, even though a summons was not served.
The acceptance of a summons and a warrant, how important it is for individuals, whether you are a defendant, you are a witness, how is it important for you in terms of accepting a warrant for when it's been issued to you by an officer of the court or of the police officer, whoever is the one responsible for it?
It is very important, because the court do not take lightly you disobeying a summons or failing to comply with a warrant, because the court should not be waiting on a person to make up their mind and say, yes, I will decide to go to court.
If I want to come to court or not.
Yes, the court waits on no person. So if you do not take that summons of course, officers encounter issues as they go out there to issue summons and to execute warrants. If you do not accept that summons, you place yourself at high risk of either being remanded to Her Majesty's prison or a matter being done behind your back, and the penalty that would probably be imposed on you had you been there and bring forward your case would be different of a penalty if you're not there. The matter is heard in your absence. A magistrate may then send a warrant for your arrest for sentencing, and the court do not like the fact that people would disrespect service. It's not an invite. It's a command for you to come to court. That's a summons. Yes. The law says it's a command. And an arrest warrant is the police can use force, and that's justifiable use of force to have you brought to court.
All right.
And you, based on the reason you bring forward to the court as to why you didn't come on the previous occasion on being served, the magistrate, based on how they interpret that, you may end up in prison. You may end up there until the completion of your matter. And most people wouldn't like that. So it's very important that you adhere to your summons and the warrants.
All right.
Just before you go ahead, GT, I think I must say that there are different ways that you can serve a summons.
Yes.
You can serve it personally, you can serve it through registered mail, or to the last place of abode where the person stays. But usually, most of the times, we really try to serve the summons personally, or we leave it at your last fixed place of abode. Sometimes we enter encounters with persons, especially when we go to serve the summons. For instance, if a person is, giving us problems in receiving the summons, and you don't want to take the summons, I could just raise the summons down at your feet.
Because it was leading to my next question.
Yeah.
I know I have heard time from time somebody say, well, you didn't give me these summons in my hand, so it's like I haven't received it.
Yes.
You understand?
So I could just come. I don't have to make no argument to do songs. I know for a fact that I'm coming to you, GT, and it's you I coming to, and I know the summons is addressed to you from the magistrate, and you don't want to take it, I just rest it down on your feet. And all I do now, I just have to do an affidavit of service to prove that the summons was served to you, and that will return to the court, and the court will attach it to the file. So whenever the hearings is come up, that will come up, and the magistrate will see that you were served for the matter.
All right.
The law does, in fact, recognize that as proper service.
That you're being served.
Correct.
All right, great.
So it's important for persons to adhere to a summons, to the instructions of a summons being served to them, to appear in court for their matters.
All right, great.
Important.
We due for a break. Let's take it. We'll be right back, folks. Stay with us here. It's To The Point for today, Thursday. We'll be right back after the break. Don't touch your dial.
On Saturday, May 4th, there will be a shift on the island as the biggest grilling fest in Grenada moves to the big parish. The Maggie King of the Grill competition is at Progress Park, St. Andrew. Come taste the most sumptuous creations from the grill as top chefs and food enthusiasts showcase their culinary skills. Maggie King of the Grill is a festival like no other, with live soca music, fun attractions, and games for the entire family. Then from 6 p.m., get a chance to win up to $5,000 cash in bingo. Interested vendors and grillers should call 456-3454 to register. It's the Maggie King of the Grill competition at Progress Park, St. Andrew. Gates open from 12 noon. Bring your appetite and stay tuned to this station for more details.
Maggie King of the Grill is made possible by Bryden and Miners, Hunt's, the official barbecue sauce of King of the Grill, Rubis, get going, Independence Agencies, agents for Swiss products, Grenada Paper Product, Grenada Bottling Company Limited, and Waggy Tea Rental and Sounds.
Kiriko Maroon and String Band Music Festival 2024, April 26th to the 28th. Coming together to preserve and showcase our culture is who we are. Friday the 26th, Salmont at the Chapel. Early morning libation, 3 p.m. Saraka, 7 p.m. the official opening ceremony and cultural evening. Saturday from 10 a.m. Hillsborough Square. It's Strings in the City. Then at 8 p.m. we move to the Botanical Gardens for Cultural Explosion with local and regional performances featuring Touch the Band. Admission $60. Then on Sunday it's the grand finale, Paradise Beach. From 12 noon, musical entertainment, and from 4 p.m. Paradise Beach Friends, cultural entertainment and live music. Admission $20. Come on, to dance the quadrille and Big Drum on Paradise Beach every Sunday after the launch until the festival ends. Kirikou Maroon and String Band Music Festival 2024, April 26th to the 28th.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again. Welcome back, officers. It's to the point for today, Thursday, the 18th day of April, folks, and we with the Prosecution Department this morning here on the panel. And our main, should I say, topic of conversation this morning, we're talking summons and warrants. In our previous segment, we spoke a lot in terms of, the types of warrants and the types of summons that also we did have a bit of conversation and that we talk about the process in terms of how summons and warrants have been served to individuals who may have to have received. Now, which of these warrants, I would say, are the most commonly used by, or the process of being served? When you say warrants of types, if we could discuss that a little bit better.
Yes. Well, some of the most commonly used warrants at the prosecution department would be judgment debtor warrants, and those warrants speaks to judgment that would have been passed on persons on civil cases. They would have failed to pay either compensation or a fine. Right. So after the expiration of the period in which the court would have given to pay that compensation or fine, then of course a warrant would come out for that person arrest. Of course, once they get that person, if they decide to pay that compensation or fine, then they will be released. But if not, they will spend the time at the default period at Her Majesty's prison.
All right.
And as the corporal speaks on judgment debtor warrant, and person have to understand, if they are being imprisoned on a judgment debtor warrants, the fine don't go away.
Okay.
It's always there, so it's always important for them to pay the fine, because if they go in prison and serve time and they comes out, they still have to pay that particular.
If you've been fined by the court for every reason.
For judgment debtor, yes,
All
they still have to pay that fine on the judgment debtor warrant.
All right. I like the part when you said that. So sometimes you get in prison. Well, I already been confined for whatever reason. So I was charged. I've been confined. Yes. But even though I'm released now, and there was a fine that I have to pay or whatever judgment that came across, I still owe the court. So so that means you could be warranted.
That's a judgment debtor warrant.
So you could be warranted again in that process.
With judgment debtor warrants, well, you have to pay the fine.
So what if I don't pay still?
If you don't pay the fine, the person who had take you to court, they will have to come and do a show cause and bring back up the same matter, and for you to pay the money. It will come back up again for you to pay in the court. And if it does not pay it again, a warrant, the same judgment debtor warrant, will come out for you again for you to pay the money. It repeated itself.
And the fine may be more.
The fine may be more. So it don't go away. It's always on the system. It don't go away. Right. The only time it will go away is if you pay the fine.
All right.
So if you say, well, all right, I'll go in jail and then that's it with judgment debtor. No, judgment debtor don't work that way.
All right.
When anytime you will be charged for a judgment debtor warrant, especially for child maintenance, you have to pay it, because if you go in prison and it comes out, it will still comes back and you still have to pay.
So if you make the decision and say, well, the court, judgment came down on me, I've been fined. I decided I'm not going to pay it, I'm going to go to prison. Whenever you release, you still have to pay that.
It doesn't work in your favor at all.
Judgment debtor, yes. So you'll have to pay the judgment debtor.
All right.
It's always important to pay.
All right. What happens to persons who may evade this particular service? If we could talk about that.
Well, it doesn't.
People say, well, I see Boot, if I can say, like, Officer Boot coming, and I know he's going to have a summons for me or whatever. I may think he has one for me. So I'm trying to evade him for some reason or the other. What happened to these individuals?
Warrants don't go away. Eventually, you will be caught. So it depends on how long you intend. You may be the fastest runner, but there are persons who run faster than you. There are police officers who may run faster than you. So warrants don't go away. They're always there to be executed. It's an order. The only time we go away, for example, if it's a commitment warrant, and you would have gone and served that time in prison.
Yes.
All right. But have there ever been cases where individuals were not found in terms of when a warrant or summons maybe issued to them, but they still attend court for some reason or the other? How is that processed?
if an individual...
Say for individual, note had to come to court, and maybe they didn't receive that warrant or summon, and they still but somehow they came to court still. Maybe you've talked through the grapevine or whatever we could say. Yeah. And how's that process?
Usually, some of them, they come to the court and find out when is the matter.
All right.
And they come to court.
Well, once they come to court, it shows that they're showing interest in the case. They're not really evading service. So once they come, the magistrate may ask them the reason they were not present on the previous occasions. And having satisfied that, the magistrate may release them on their own, whatever bail they would have been on before. Or the matter may be dealt with if the defendant is in a position to do so at the same time.
And sometimes the challenge we face too as process servers is that you may come and give a complaint on the address of River Road, for instance, and for some reason we try to get you in River Road and you may change your service. Sometimes, yes, I may know you. For instance, if I know you, GT, and know you from River Road, but you're not living in River Road again. So it's always important, if you are the complainant in the matter, and your matter is very important, even though you realize times goes by and nothing has been happening, it's always good to come and check the court and let the court know that you're not getting service, and then you could tell the court that, listen, I've changed my address, I'm not in River Road again. So then now, if a summons had to issue for you again, we'll issue it in the correct address, so then you can be located as quickly as possible so that you could get the justice you deserve. So most of the time that does be a challenge. Persons just change their address and they cannot, most of the time sometimes can't locate them.
Let's expand the challenges that that is experienced a whole lot by the prosecution team in terms of issuing warrants and someone. What are some of those main challenges you would say that you're experiencing?
Well,
go ahead.
Well, basically, I will speak about warrants. Most of the time, sometimes we as processors, we don't know everybody.
Yeah.
And most of the times we have to do your groundwork, right? You have to do your groundwork to get the information to find persons, right? And most of the times when we do groundwork, yes, we get persons. We find them. And also persons tend to leave the state. Persons tend to leave the state and go away. You understand? Thinking, well, they go away and that's it. But the only so that warrant will go away from you is only if you come back and then the warrant will be executed on you. So if you leave the state and you go away, that does not mean that the warrant will just die because you leave, you're going North America, you're going England, you're going China, wherever. So we always admonish people to know that if you know that you come to court and you've been convicted and you are fined and you have to pay a fine and the time has passed and a warrant has been out, you could come and find out and you could come and pay your money in prosecution department, or you can contact the court and pay your money. You understand? Because if you try to evade the warrant of being executed on you, wherever we seize you, we're going to pick you up. You understand?
To add with my co-worker here, some of the issues that we face, we have, as I indicated before, we have the runners, we have the persons who decide, what, I no longer wish to proceed with this matter, and they decide they're not going to court. But they have to come because a summons is issued to you. And then you have persons who may query certain defects on the summons, small defects that is set apart from the names, like the date. What they fail to realize that this can be amended at any point. So by not accepting the summons, it just delays the process. It doesn't make the problem go away. So there are a number of issues, small issues. There are cases, of course, where you may have an issue with name change. You were called John Doe before, and now you would have, through some legal process, given yourself John Prince or something. You were known by that name. It makes no difference if you accept the summons now. It's just delaying the process. It doesn't make sense. Amendment, the law makes provisions for amendments to be made to summons and warrants. And we just come back for you with that name. So to prevent delay, you might as well just cooperate with the police. It doesn't benefit persons to just try to make the process difficult.
All right.
And commitment warrants, when it comes from the court and it comes to us, when is it being executed? Is either you pay the fine immediately, or we take it to prison.
All right.
Yes, there's nothing that states on the warrant that we have to give you time.
All right.
So long as we have the warrant in our hand and we seize you, is either you pay the fine or you go straight to prison.
Another question I have: people who evade warrants and summons for some reason, as you remember, someone may travel and they decide there was a warrant for a particular individual for some whatever crime they may have committed, or for whatever reason they may have evaded, left the island 5, 10, 15 years. Is there a time when you would say, well, there's a cutoff point and the warrant can no longer be served of that nature, or that even when that person returns to Grenada 20 years after that warrant was issued for them, they still do have to go through that process again?
No, it will still be a live warrant.
It will be a live warrant.
You could leave 10, 15 years. The warrant, as we indicated, do not go away.
Mm-hmm.
Unless probably a person passed away, you have that warrant.
Okay,
There's nothing that can be done, but the warrant is always there.
All right. Now, let me ask this also. How would a magistrate know that a summons was served to a person? So, for some reason, how would a magistrate actually know that a summons is served to an individual?
Upon a document called an affidavit of service. So, a process server who would have issued the summons to a particular person would then pull up what you call a affidavit of service, and that would be him swearing before a magistrate or justice of the peace or the registrar or even a judge, stating that on today's date at St. John Street I served John Prince, and this would be done on oath before this justice of the peace or magistrate, who would then sign same, and that document would then be affixed to the court's file, which the magistrate will have the privy to observe and determine what process to send off for that person. Because an officer doing that is swearing that he does that. If he fails to do proper information, to put proper information on the document, he can be sent to prison. And probably even lose his job. So there's a lot at risk for officer who may falsify, so they tend not to ever go down that path.
All right. So it's always important to of course, go through the process as an officer.
Yes.
The individual has been served, you do the affidavit, whatever is needed to be done.
Affidavit of service.
Right. Where does issues of that nature arises where these particular processes were not carried out, especially from the prosecution department? What kind of issue can develop there?
That is where an affidavit of service was not carried out.
Yes.
Well, we'll ask for a summons again because we want to ensure fairness and we want to make sure that persons be given the opportunity to a fair chance to be heard. So, of course, the magistrate, once not having an affidavit of service, would send out a summons again.
Okay, great. We drew for another break. Let's take it. We come back and chit-chat some more. Stay with us, folks. To the point here on Classic Radio, dear viewers and listeners, if you do have a question or two, you may have a question or two as it relates to our conversation this morning, including speaking about summons and warrants. You feel free to give us a call, 435-2041. You also have the option of calling via the WhatsApp, 435-2041. Right back after the break. Don't touch your dial.
In honor of the Grenada 50th Independence, the Royal Grenada Police Force Band presents the second annual Mother's Night Out. Mother's Night Out. The concerts all going down on Sunday, May 12th from 5 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center. Featuring live from TNT. It's crazy.
Time to come. America will have a black president.
John King.
How many more?
June Lodge. Together with the Hitman Inspector, Valine Ned, Samantha Dixon, Alex Phillip, Shane, Innocent, General PP, Kareem, Alexis, Ron Barry, the African Man, and much more. Dress code elegant. It's Mother's Night Out, the Grenada Trade Center from 5 p.m. on Sunday, May 12th. Lots of giveaways and prizes to be won. Champagne and roses on entry. You don't want to miss this amazing experience for mothers. Your tickets only $70 and are available from Gittins Pharmacy in Grand Dance and Grenville, Grenadian Optical, the Police Bandhouse, Police Canteen. Make this a date for mothers.
Mark your calendars, football fanatics. The GFA is turning 100 this year, and we're ready to celebrate. It's GFA's Legends Weekend, a 3-day extravaganza, kicking off on Friday, May 3rd, and running all the way till Sunday, May 5th. Witness history in the making. The Caribbean taking on the world in a clash of legendary international footballers on Sunday, May 5th at the electrifying Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Get ready to roar with the crowd as iconic legends like Emmanuel Adebayor, El Haj Diouf, Alex Song, Michael Essien, Luis El Matador Hernandez, Shaka Hislop, Asamoah Gyan, Ricardo Bibi Gardner, Russell Latapi, Shallery Joseph, Jason Roberts, Dexter Daps, and a whole host of superstars light up the pitch. From breathtaking goals to unforgettable memories, GFA's Legends Weekend promises an epic celebration of football you won't want to miss. Keep your eyes peeled on GFA's social media for the full squad reveal. GFA's Legend Weekend. Be there. On Saturday, May 4th, there will be a shift on the island as the biggest grilling fest in Grenada moves to the big parish. The Maggie King of the Grill competition is at Progress Park, St. Andrew. Come taste the most sumptuous creations from the grill as top chefs and food enthusiasts showcase their culinary skills. Maggie King of the Grill is a festival like no other with live soca music, fun attractions, and games for the entire family. Then from 6 p.m., get a chance to win up to $5,000 cash in bingo. Interested vendors and grillers should call 456-3454 to register. It's the Maggie King of the Grill competition at Progress Park, St. Andrew. Gates open from 12 noon. Bring your appetite and stay tuned to this station for more details.
Maggie King of the Grill is made possible by Bryden and Miners, Hunt's, the official barbecue sauce of King of the Grill, Rubis, get going, Independence Agencies, agents for Swiss products, Grenada Paper Product, Grenada Bottling Company Limited, and Waggy Tea Rental and Sounds.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to the point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. Welcome back, officers. And this segment, I, of course, did mention that we invite our callers, of course, listeners and viewers to call in, I should say. You may have a question or two as it relates to summons and warrants. And I beg of you to be brief in terms of your question that you want to ask, and as we move forward. Let's take our first caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Oh, yes. Good morning, GT. And how are you today?
Do it well.
Have a great day. Good morning to your guest. Now, listening to this thing in its entirety, it is so serious to me that it takes me back to the young people and having something to do, because this could deny a young man a greater part of his life running away from the law or being in prison. It is that serious. So it leads me to every young person should have something to do or avail themselves of a job so that they don't find themselves running with the law. But let me ask these questions. Does the officer or does the department, taking those things into consideration, assist young people whom they know does not have a job in finding a job so they will get away from these serious situations of the law? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Any response to the caller's question that he asked?
Well, the prosecution department, the police
I'm
do
not
not
sure you can help
assist
us with
person in
jobs.
finding a job. But there are different ways in which you can deal with issues of people of tender age. For example, under the age of 18, you have the Juvenile Justice Act that makes provision for dealing with persons who have not yet developed cognitively enough. Right. However, persons above that age should have been developed at a level to understand the seriousness of absconding court. The magistrate will determine what sentence after assessing all the evidence before to place upon that person. As it relates to jobs, no.
I understand that. Let's take another caller. Caller, welcome. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I want to ask this question to the officer. Sometimes me and a person may have a misunderstanding. That person caused me injured. I take the matter to court. They summon me to come to the court. but I ain't go to the court. There is any penalty for the complainant?
Okay, thank you, caller. Thank you so much. You respond to the caller?
Yes, what could happen is that a warrant can come out for your arrest as a witness, or the magistrate having given you notice to come to court. And of course, all complaints are brought by the Commissioner of Police. So you're a witness for the state, having assessed the severity of the matter. If it's that of petty crime, then the magistrate may dispose.
I think she was speaking in the context of being the complainant.
Yes, being the complainant. If you do not come to court, the magistrate may dispose of the case.
All right.
Or a warrant could come out for your arrest based on the severity of the matter.
All right.
Just to add with what the corporal is saying. Also, if you have a matter in court and you get a summons and a given date, if you cannot make it to court, you could contact the court. And and say, listen, I have an appointment or this or that, I can't make it to the court, I can't make it to court today. So the court, the prosecutor will have an idea that, listen, this person has contacted the court as the complainant, and they cannot make it today, so then the magistrate will make her decision based on the instruction from the prosecutor.
All right. I'm seeing a question here from someone via WhatsApp, and they're saying, of course, the individual is saying, I was issued a summons for a ticket that I paid. The clerk told me that I do not need to attend court. When I get a document saying, the case is dropped, would they get information saying to them that the case is dropped? After the clerk may have issued them, after they may have paid and was told that by the clerk.
Well, once you pay a ticket, within the time it should be paid, the 31 days, the 1 month, then no file would be sent to court for you. However, if by whatever means a file is brought to court and you get a summons, you still have to come to court. What you would do is walk with the receipt that you would have received from paying that ticket to show the court, look, I have paid that ticket. This is a proof that I have paid the ticket, and that matter will be disposed of. So you, of course, have to obey the summons as opposed to what the clerk may be saying, because this is a command from the magistrate.
Yeah, well, I guess the clerk can speak for the magistrate. More or less. Let's take caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome. Let's hear from you, please.
Yes, Mr. GT. Good morning. Good morning. I enjoy your program, but I have 3 questions to ask. Now, what sudden criminal records in Grenada that could prevent somebody from getting a passport to travel and so. Some of them is kind of controversial. For example, if you were charged and punished with corporal punishment, marijuana smoking, obscene language in public. Now, imagine a young man coming to Canada where marijuana smoking is legal now. You have marijuana shops all over the place in Canada. Now, I don't smoke, but I could just go and buy marijuana in any place and smoke in Canada, right? A young man in Grenada who were caught by police now in this present state of Grenada and charged for smoking marijuana. So he has a criminal, he or she, male or female, they have a criminal record. That's 1. 2, premedial larceny or whatever you steal or whatever you do, the police flag you. You get corporal punishment. That on the book, you have a crime. That's 2. Obscenity. 3. These are criminal records. Now, a young man or a young woman want to come into Canada, they go for a police record. You cannot get a passport to travel. You can't get there's something you have to pay when you have to travel out. They can't get. Now, in Canada, marijuana is illegal. You could buy your smoke. So how you gonna punish a Grenadian person and say they have a criminal record back home? They can't come to Canada because they're smoking marijuana. or the charge.
All right, caller. So, caller, I think we have got the 3 questions. Let's move on and see if the officers can answer the question that you asked. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on to, of course, any response to what the caller said, if you got the drift of
every country have their rules that needs to be followed. And if there's an issue where someone wants their record to be expunged, I'd advise them to seek legal counsel who would assist them in that field.
All right. 435-2041, that's the number. If you do have, of course, a question that you may like to ask the officers, feel free to do it in this segment. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, you're welcome. Caller, for some reason, we'll not be able to accommodate your call. Whatever device you have in the background, it's too loud. Have that taken care of and then call us. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
How you doing, my brother?
Good morning to you.
And good, good morning to the officers. You know, I'm a guy who just don't like people that is nonsensical. You know, if you call the station to make a valuable contribution, think about what you have to say before you call the station. Number one, as they say, you're living in a different country, the laws are different. America, Canada, England, all the laws are different wherever you're living. You just have to abide with the laws. Yeah, sometimes the problem I just have with people is that you leave where you live, you go to Grenada, and you don't want to abide by the laws because you live in another country. And if you know you're going, I have a big problem with that. I see people come to Grenada, you come on the airport, you didn't get your suitcase, and you're making a whole big set of noise. And when you check out your traveling documents, you board the plane late, and you expect to get your luggage first. It's common sense, very common sense. You know what I mean? You live in a country, you learn the laws, you learn what the police is supposed to do. I come to Grenada all the time. You have to go with the law. Like, you can't pretend, oh, I come from this country, and sometimes some people have some marijuana, let me say, a whole set of files behind them, tagging a whole baggage behind them. So stop looking at what happened in America and Canada. You go to the next country, you go to St. Vincent, Barbados, Canada, the Virgin Islands, all laws are different. And you abide with the law. That's why people always doesn't understand. And you come to Grenada and making a fool of yourself because you feel you come from a bigger country and this and that, and they don't do this where we come from. No. Abide with the law, especially if you're a Grenadian. You Grenadian, come to Grenada, abide with the law.
All right, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Thank you so much. 435-2041. Let's take another caller. And callers, as I mentioned, of course, if you keep your contributions, of course, minimal, please. And just if you have a question, state the question. Of course, I understand folks sometimes wants to say a whole lot, but just ask your questions and move on, please. Let's take another caller via WhatsApp. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, GT. Very short and straight to the point. I heard the officers mention about child maintenance. I want to ask the officer, if they ever encounter a situation where a father take a mother to court for child maintenance.
All right, caller, thank you. I know we're talking summons and warrants and stuff, and that's the nature of our conversation this morning, all right? So I'm not sure if you...
Yes, we have.
You were able to, but if you could answer, go ahead.
Yes, we have.
Yes, we in contact, yes.
All right. Is that? So, caller, the officers are saying yes, they have encountered situations of that nature. 435-2041. That's a number. If you do have a question or two, you feel free, of course, to officers. As we wait another caller to call in. How is it important for individuals to comply? In general, complying in terms of receiving that summons or warrant. How is it important for individuals to comply?
It is quite important. Well, as I would have explained earlier, it prevents delay, and it prevents you, if you decide you're going to fight up with the officer, then criminal charges will come about. The officer may put some criminal charges on you, and that wouldn't be good for you. As someone would have mentioned about criminal records earlier, you would like to have a clean record, and just the same, you would like to prevent yourself from going to prison. It's very important.
All right. And persons must obey the command of the summons to avoid the hassle of of a warrant being executed on them, especially on the workplace, because most people don't like, persons come on the workplace, especially where police matters is concerned. I understand, but the warrant gives us the right to take you anyway.
Yeah.
So persons must avoid that, obey with the command from the court, and come to court to avoid all this from happening.
All right. Any more advice you want to throw in, especially to our listeners and viewers this morning, as relates to our conversation in terms of warrants and summons and so forth? Any advice you want to draw before we entertain another caller? I do have someone waiting. Let's entertain the caller. I guess we lost the caller. Let's take this caller first. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
Caller, before you continue, please. Caller, one sec. Before you continue, would you lower whatever device in the background, please?
I'm far away from it.
Caller, you may have to get whatever device you have in the background taken care of and call us back. Let's continue.
Okay. Well, the advice I will give to the public is to cooperate. It never works in your favor to give trouble, to give problems. By cooperating, you might get a lesser sentence when you attend to court. For example, you give yourself the ability to have your third discount.
Yes.
Because in cases of plea, if a person plead, they're entitled to a third discount. Mm-hmm. If you're not there, you wouldn't really get a discount.
Right.
It does not work in your favor. Delaying the process will just make it difficult for you and sometimes by extent your family. Yeah. Because at the time you may need to be there for your family, a warrant would pick a person, a processor will pick you up on a warrant, and you have to take in consideration your family, your children, who should be there to provide and protect. Well, the court also do take that into consideration, but you, as the primary person at home, have to take that too into consideration.
All right.
It works always in the favor of the court.
All right. We do have another caller. Let's take this caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, officers. Good morning, GT. The officer mentioned earlier on that he can issue a summons. Is it a summons or the warrant by throwing the warrant or the summons at the person's feet? Is that correct what he said?
Yes, he did. He did mention that.
Right. So my question is, what if the person, the warrant officer or the summons officer doesn't know the person by name, right? And let's say I have your name, because people have the same name. Some people might have the same name. So Glen, and he dropped a warrant to me, and I'm the wrong person. What takes place then?
Oh, let's get an answer from the.
Yeah, and secondly, the issuance of summons to politicians. How does that work? Politicians and people like in government and such. Thank you very much.
All right, caller. Thank you also.
Caller, what I should say is that if I knew, if you had listened to me before, I had said that if I know GT, as I use GT as an example, and I know him very well, and I know it is him, and he's resisting that, it's not him, and I know for a fact it's him, and he don't want to take the summons, I just rest it down on his feet because I know it is GT. And if I know that is not the person, most of the times we can, there's nothing wrong with doing investigations. And then we could do the investigation, get the proper information, and then we can come. If the information is correct that it is you, we'll come back. And if I come back and I know it is you, I'll do the same thing. Rest it at your feet if you don't want to take the summons.
All right. He did also ask in terms of summons and warrants being issued to politicians.
Yes, we can issue. Of course, once a summons come out, as I said, it's a command from the court. So yes, they would be served. There's just a process that we go through throughout our police system where they will issue the summons to the parties.
All right. So is it a different process in terms of a regular civilian?
They will be served. Yes, there's just a different process that will probably be a more senior officer doing so.
Okay. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Hello.
Good morning. Go right ahead with your contribution,
please. Yes, sir. I know of someone who has been given a job, who had been had to be given a job, but because they had a somewhat criminal record, 17 years gone by, a simple thing that they both children and they fought, and somehow they entered into court, and 17 years now, and the police wrote on this kind of card that they commit an offense, to give them to present to the authorities where they intended to get the job. Do you think this is right? 17 years, the person never take in prison, and yet for all, they have given this record. In fact, I told the person, I don't see how this could hold something against them. Just tell them they were young, and the two people fought, and then they brought them to court. And I don't see how you should deny somebody after 17 or 18 years a job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Our conversation is not related to records. We do have departments that will come in to speak about records and so forth, but our conversation is more dealing with summons and warrants this morning. So callers, if there are your questions on that particular nature, please. Summons and warrants. Of course, it is also important in terms of how someone get their record taken, but there are departments that will take care of that. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning. Let's hear your contribution, please. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Doing pretty well. Go right ahead, please.
I was listening and speaking about maintenance for children. I'm asking this question. Okay, somebody arrested.
Caller, for some reason, our caller, listen 1 minute, please. Caller, good morning. Our conversation this morning is based on summons and warrants. All right, in terms of whatever you're going at, it's not where our conversation is this morning. Thanks for your contribution anyway. Good morning once again. Let's continue. We just have a few more minutes left on the program. I think folks are sort of misunderstanding the conversation this morning. We're basically speaking about summons and warrants. When the officers, what is the definition between a warrant and a summons and so forth. That's the nature of our conversation this morning, and that's the direction we're trying to keep it. All right, for folks, let's keep the conversation of that nature. Now, anything that we may have missed that the officers would like to, of course, make a mention on before we take a wrap for today?
Well, we did mention some warrants. As I indicated, there are warrants like search warrants, so you'll have persons coming into your homes, and if you do not cooperate by opening your door, then the law gives them power to break it open. You may have distress warrants, and distress warrants deals with items that would have been levied at your sentence, movable items. So again, if you do not open your door, then it will be breaking open too, and your items would be moved from your home. So there are a lot of things you should take into consideration in determining if you want to assist or the police in completing these cases, or if you're going to be difficult, then you place yourself at disadvantage. All
right. We do have another caller. I hope this caller, of course, is in the direction we go. We lost that caller. 435-2041. Until we have gotten to that stage of the morning, we may have to take a wrap for today's program. Closing contributions from both of you before we take a wrap this morning?
What I would like to admonish the public is that if you know that you are in court and you were charged and a fine was imposed on you and you didn't pay the fine, contact the court and make sure that you pay the fine, so that to avoid the hassle of a warrant being issued for you for payment. And persons, if you know that you didn't make a payment by now, a warrant should be out for you, so you should contact the Prosecution Department, St. George's, so that the tangible fine can be paid to avoid the hassle of process servers, arresting you and cause you to pay the fine or take you to the prison.
All right.
Also, nothing bar you from querying any information you need clarity on. You can contact Prosecution Department, or you can contact the courthouse, speak to the court clerk or some employee to assist you with information, because if you do not show up or if you do not cooperate, as I said, it doesn't work in your favor.
All right. Officers, I want to thank you very much for being on the program this morning and expressing, of course, the information that you did this morning. And I'm sure that, of course, all listeners of you do understand the process now in terms of warrants when it's been issued to you, the process that you have to comply with it when a warrant, when a summon has been issued to you, what is necessary, what it's all about, and the reason you should comply with it.
Yes.
Thanks once again for being on the program this morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right,
thank you very much.
All right. Hey, folks, as we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point, thanks all who contributed towards today's program. Thank you so much. Have yourself a good one. As I always say, be good to yourself and others. Have yourself a great day, folks. That's what we say. Goodbye.